These big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Said the truth is light, and now the streets are echoing it too.
Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
He said it to their faces, in a room packed with Hollywood's most powerful people, and the room went completely silent.
Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused.
So here's the question. Nobody in the mainstream media is asking out loud if the files are finally being released. Why do some of the biggest names in Hollywood keep getting left out of the conversation? And why right now is Oprah Winfrey's? Name the one the internet refuses to stop circling. Look, we've been here before. We've seen the headlines. We've seen the teasers. For years, we've watched the government dangle the Epstein files like a carrot in front of the American public. But something about this moment feels fundamentally different, and it's not just because of the deadline. It's because of who's talking. You've got Gervais, a man who walked into one of the most powerful rooms in Hollywood and said out loud what nobody else had the nerve to say on a major broadcast stage. And you've got Joe Rogan, who reaches more ears every single week than most cable news networks combined. When figures like that start circling the same territory, the same names, the same questions, that's not a coincidence. That's a signal.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
Think about what that moment actually was. Ricky Gervais wasn't doing comedy. He was using comedy as armor, because it's often the only way you can say certain things in certain rooms without getting dragged out by security. He was naming the fear. He was pointing directly at it, and the people sitting in those seats knew exactly what he meant. Now fast forward, the Epstein files are starting to crack open. Sealed documents are becoming unsealed. A December 19th deadline has the entire entertainment industry holding its breath. And suddenly, some of Hollywood's biggest names appear to be making very deliberate moves. Not vacationing, not touring, not filming on some exotic location. Instead, reports and online chatter suggest people are selling homes, moving money, and relocating abroad. And the timing seems to line up almost perfectly with the document's release schedule. But here's what makes this story deeper than just who might be leaving. The bigger conversation, the one Rogan's audience and Ricky's fans have been pushing, is about who isn't in those files. Because if certain names were scrubbed, if certain connections were redacted, then what we're seeing released wouldn't be the full truth, but a managed version of it. That's why Oprah Winfrey's name keeps entering the online conversation. Let's go back to the 2020 Golden Globes. Ricky Gervais takes the stage, and within the first few minutes, he has already made the entire audience visibly uncomfortable.
Talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. No one cares about...
He didn't let up, and the audience seemed torn between laughing and feeling uneasy, because those weren't just jokes. They felt more like pointed statements dressed up as humor. And the moment he mentioned Epstein, the atmosphere in the room shifted completely. I know he was your friend. That line didn't sound accidental. Ricky Gervais is known for being extremely intentional with his words, and that one was clearly aimed at people sitting right there in the room. When he finished, it didn't land like a punchline. Looking back now, it sounded far more like a warning than a joke.
To lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God,
And what he was really telling them was simple. You have no moral authority, none at all. For years, that's exactly what people outside those elite circles have been saying, that he wasn't joking. He was exposing something. Now, with reports and rumors of celebrities leaving the country, the online conversation has shifted. It's no longer was Ricky joking. It's how much did he actually know? That's the question many listeners of the Joe Rogan Experience keep coming back to, because Joe Rogan has moved within those worlds. He understands the industry, and he's hosted guests who speak carefully, sometimes in half sentences or coded hints about what happens behind closed doors in elite Hollywood spaces. More and more, the commentary around him echoes what Ricky Gervais seemed to imply, that there are still names the public hasn't seen. Names that belong in the conversation, but somehow never make it into the final narrative before focusing. On Oprah Winfrey specifically, it helps to look at the broader pattern. When you see behavior unfolding in real time, properties being sold, finances being shifted, people relocating, it becomes harder for observers to dismiss it all as coincidence.
There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him.
Not just visiting, but living there. Around the same time, media coverage suggested she had not yet been served legal
theoretical
papers in a
physicist
civil
Lawrence
lawsuit
Krauss
because she was
mentioned
abroad.
Jeffrey Epstein. Public
For
commentary
critics, that
and
raised
interpret
eyebrows. For supporters, it's just timing. Either way, the question being asked online is simple. What makes someone choose distance right now? And this is the same Ellen who once mentioned on her own show that she was aware of late-night industry parties hosted by Sean Diddy Combs, a remark that seemed harmless at the time, but is now being revisited through a very different lens then. There's Richard Gere, a Hollywood veteran, who sold his large Connecticut property and relocated to Spain. Real estate analysts note that when wealthy owners accept less than expected market value, it can sometimes signal urgency rather than strategy. Add the timing close to major document releases tied to Jeffrey Epstein, and online speculation naturally intensifies. Names like Eva Longoria and Rosie O'Donnell are also frequently mentioned in relocation rumors, contributing to a growing narrative that something larger may be unfolding within the industry. Commentators influenced by voices like Cat Williams argue that the most powerful figures often have the greatest ability to shape what becomes public and what doesn't, which is why attention repeatedly returns to the same small group of influential names. That brings us back to Oprah, to be clear. There is no verified legal finding linking Oprah Winfrey to Epstein's crimes. None. What keeps the discussion alive online isn't evidence of wrongdoing, but what critics describe as a proximity issue, the reality that influence, access, and elite social circles often overlap. Oprah built her reputation on access. She was the person who could bring anyone into the same room. She moved in the same powerful networks as Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, and Diddy. For years, she was one of Weinstein's most visible public allies before his downfall. When the Weinstein scandal broke, some observers felt her response was measured and cautious rather than forceful. Supporters saw it as responsible restraint. Critics saw it differently. Either way, people noticed, and in the post-Epstein era, perception and proximity carry more weight than ever before. Critics argued that her measured response reflected a difficult reality. When someone is deeply embedded within elite power structures, speaking out can come at a real cost. Then came the controversy surrounding her South African school, where a dormitory matron was charged with abusing students. No one is claiming that Oprah Winfrey was responsible for that individual's actions. What critics point to instead is a broader pattern that institutions connected to powerful figures often prioritize reputation management over complete transparency. For them, that same concern extends to her proximity to figures like Harvey Weinstein and to the wider elite networks now facing scrutiny. Online speculation, particularly among communities influenced by voices like Joe Rogan and Ricky Gervais, suggests that some high-profile names may appear in documents that remain partially redacted. The theory circulating is that the unreleased portions of the Jeffrey Epstein files could contain references to influential figures whose reputations carry enormous cultural and institutional weight.
They talk
Comedian
about
Cat Williams
untouchable power,
summed up that
elite
sentiment.
access, and
Bluntly,
clear about
all
something
lies
before
will
we
be
go
exposed.
here. There is no
For many
in
observers
Hollywood
online,
keep getting left out of
statements
the
like that reinforce the belief that the public still hasn't seen the full picture.
He said it
From
in a
there,
room full
speculation
of Hollywood's
expands
most
into a
powerful
broader
people,
theory
buried
that
or
Epstein's
redacted,
social
which brings us
world and
directly
that
to
of
the
Sean
name,
Diddy
the system,
Combs
a system
may
that
not have been
protected
as separate
powerful
as they
people,
appear.
verified legal
Commentators
finding,
note that
connected
both operated in environments built on
views
exclusivity,
people dismissed as
influence,
breakdowns.
and
Rogan
privacy.
says it to tens of millions of
According to
listeners.
online
Names
discussions,
on that list
these
are the ones who have
ecosystems
had
may
the most
overlapped through shared guests, mutual connections, and an unspoken culture of discretion.
Line conversation
People
keeps
map
landing
those
on when they
overlapping
every week,
circles.
and the through line, the
Certain
name,
names
the
come up
on
repeatedly.
right to their
Naomi
faces,
Campbell,
and the
for
room
instance,
went dead
has
silent.
acknowledged
Conversation,
knowing
and why
Epstein
right
while
now? Cat
maintaining
Williams
she
has
was
been saying
unaware
for
of any
years.
wrongdoing. Critics online question how someone could move within those circles for years without noticing.
This moment
troubling
was
behavior.
coming. He said it on
Ashton
Shaq's
Kutcher
show. He
is
said it on
another name
podcasts,
often
connections,
mentioned in
and the
discussions about
cultural
high-profile
authority to
party environments linked to Diddy. Old interview clips of him joking about things he couldn't talk about are now interpreted very differently by online audiences. What once sounded like playful deflection is now viewed by some as uneasy hesitation.
Proximity to these circles,
Jay-Z has
unaddressed,
also resurfaced in
unexplained.
conversations after an archived, unverified FBI
He said it
tip
in interviews
placed
where
him at a
people laughed at
property
him and called him
associated with Epstein's network in the 1990s. Alongside Weinstein, authorities, including the United States Department of Justice, have said such submissions were unverified and his name does not appear in flight logs. Still, the combination of rumors, past lawsuits, and online commentary means
That
the
is
speculation
exactly
never
why her
fully disappears, and that highlights a key difference between the internet and a courtroom. Courts rely on evidence. Online communities tend to look for patterns, recurring names, overlapping rooms, shared silence. This is the point that Rogan's audience, in particular, keeps emphasizing, releasing only portions of the Epstein records, while leaving others redacted doesn't feel like full transparency to them. It feels like controlled disclosure, a process that, intentionally or not, tends to protect the most powerful figures, the ones with the greatest resources, legal teams, and influence.
They are
over
a
how
mirror
information
being
is
held up
revealed.
to an entire and
Senator
carefully
Chuck Schumer
managed
said
matters
it himself.
more right now than
What are
it
you
ever
trying to
has
hide?
before for
That question
decades.
isn't
Because
just for
those people
politicians.
had the
Online
resources.
communities and the street are asking the same thing about Hollywood and the broader cultural power structure, which names were scrubbed, whose connections were buried in redactions, and who had enough influence to ensure certain pages came out blank. Lisa Phillips, a survivor of Epstein's abuse, has said that she and other survivors are compiling their own list, a list of the people they know were present. They saw it all. That statement alone should make anyone who ever attended an Epstein-adjacent event sit up and take notice. Because the survivors list doesn't rely on government redactions or on what former President Donald Trump chooses to release or withhold. It is built entirely from lived experience. And that list is coming. Speculation online is growing louder and more persistent. Some believe Oprah Winfrey's name may be among those carefully managed around in the official files, not because there's no connection, but because relationships at that level of cultural influence are treated differently. The same way Harvey Weinstein's name was managed for decades before the truth eventually came out. Cat Williams has been warning about this moment for years on Shaquille O'Neal's show, on podcasts, and in interviews.
Now let's
where
be
people
completely
laughed
clear
and
about
called
some
him
resources
unhinged.
to ensure
But he
certain
was speaking
documents
to
got
a reality that is now beginning to unfold.
Big deviance is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
People aren't laughing anymore. Diddy is in custody.
resources
The Epstein
to ensure
files are
certain
dropping.
documents
Celebrities are fleeing the country, and every name that Cat Williams highlighted years
buried
ago
or
is
redacted,
now
which
part
brings
of an
us
active
directly
public
to the name. The
conversation. The street's position is simple.
names on that list are the ones who have had the
Cat
most.
Williams, comedian Ricky Gervais, comedian, and Joe Rogan have all been pointing at the same system from different angles, an elite network with interlocking circles,
Right to their
mutual
faces,
protection,
and the room
and
went
names
dead
so
silent.
powerful that the system bends itself to shield them. Ricky said it in a
Abused
tuxedo
people
at the
dismissed
Golden
as
Globes.
breakdowns. Rogan
Cat
says
said
it to
in
tens of
interviews that
millions of
people
listeners.
dismissed as
Verified
breakdowns.
legal finding
Rogan
connects
tells
line
it to tens of
conversation
millions
keeps
of
landing
listeners
on when
every
the
week.
system, a
And the
system
name
that
that keeps
protected
surfacing
powerful
in
people
online discussions.
They are
People
a
talk
mirror
about
being held up
untouchable
to an
power,
entire.
elite
He said it in
access,
interviews
and
where
strategic
people laughed at him and
silence
called him.
is Oprah Winfrey. Here's the reality.
This
The
moment
Epstein
was coming.
files
He
are
said it
not
on
just a
Shaq's
release of
show. He
government
said it on
documents.
podcasts.
They are
Proximity
a
to
mirror
these circles,
reflecting an entire
unaddressed,
system,
unexplained
a
for
system that
decades.
protected the
Because those
powerful
people
for
had the
decades because they
resources
had the
and
wealth,
carefully
connections,
managed
and
matters
cultural
more right
authority
now
to
than it
remain
ever has
untouchable.
before.
Ricky Gervais told that Golden Globes audience the truth
Connections
5 years ago,
and the
and
cultural
they hated him
authority
for
to
it. Now, nearly
That is
everything
exactly
he pointed at
why
has
her
collapsed or is in the process of collapsing. Harvey Weinstein convicted, R. Kelly convicted, Epstein dead under circumstances the
They
official
talk
story
about
cannot fully
untouchable
explain,
power, elite
and Diddy in
access,
custody
and strategic.
awaiting
He said
trial.
it in a room full
Question the
of
street.
Hollywood's most
And
powerful people
increasingly
the
the
internet
mainstream is
keeps
asking
returning
is,
to. Now let's be
who is
completely
next?
clear
And
about
why are
something
key
before we
names
go
still
here.
missing
There
from the
is no
files?
very in Hollywood
right.
keep getting
And
left
now
out of
the
the
world is seeing
conversation.
just
And why
how
right
right
now
he
every
was.
week? And the
Survivors
through line,
are
the name,
building
the
their own
Matt
lists.
Williams has been saying for
Internet is
years that this
cross-referencing
verified legal
every week.
finding
Names
connect
that
line
keep
conversation
surfacing in
keeps
Street Talk,
landing on when the
podcasts,
system, a
and
system
coded
that
commentary
protected
from people
powerful people
who
release. They
clearly
are
know
a
more than
mirror
they're
being
saying,
held up to an
including some
podcast.
podcast
He said it in
executives
interviews
of
where people
entertainment
laughed at him and
history.
called him.
Winfrey has built a 40-year career as
This
the
moment was coming.
moral
He said it on
conscience of
Shaq's
popular
show.
culture.
He said it on
And
podcasts.
that is
Proximity to these
exactly why her
circles,
proximity to
unaddressed,
these circles,
unexplained for
unexplained,
decades. Because
unaddressed,
those people
and
had the
carefully
resources
managed
and
matters
carefully
more right now
managed
than ever
matters
before.
more right now than it
This
ever
story
has
is
before.
far from over.
Right to their
It is barely
faces.
beginning.
And the room went
Drop
dead
your thoughts in
silent.
the comments. Which name do you think the files are protecting? Who do you think is next?
Views
And do you
people
believe the
dismissed
full
as
truth will
breakdowns.
ever
Rogan
actually
says it
come
to
out?
tens of millions of
Stay
listeners.
locked in,
Verified legal
because as
finding
more names
connect line
surface
conversation
and more
keeps
documents
landing
are
on when they
released,
right
we
to
will
their
keep connecting
faces, and the
every
room
single
went
dot.
dead